Hello, everyone. I haven't really touched on the Trans Mountain stuff, but here's a quick primer. When Trudeau came in, he took over, obviously, all the regulations and stuff in Canada, the National Energy Board, the NEB, all that reports to Trudeau. They implemented new standards, right? They implemented a higher standard to consult with everybody when doing a pipeline, right? For environmental reasons, everything like that. So you need to know that before watching this. And this is yesterday at 1:23 p.m. So this is Trudeau's first reaction to the Trans Mountain pipeline being quashed by the courts because the standards that they set, the Liberal government set, were not met. And I'll show you how they were not met. But first, let's see what Mr. Trudeau has to say about his own failure. Spoiler alert, he does not see it as his own failure.
What I tell Albertans and all Canadians is, we get it. We understand that, and we will be there to support you. We will be there to ensure that we do a better job of getting these processes approved by understanding what is required on them right now. For 10 years, the Conservative government under Stephen Harper took a particular perspective. They said, in order to get our resources to new markets, we will streamline the environmental processes and we will marginalize Indigenous groups, and that will allow us to get these projects built. Well, they failed. For 10 years, they couldn't get a pipeline to new markets other than the United States.
Sorry, usually I let him go, but holy, the statements that he's made, there's been 3 giant lies already. And trying to imply that the Harper government didn't get any pipelines built to other places other than the United States is just a sad state of affairs, Mr. Trudeau. But my goodness.
Their approach of limiting the amount of environmental science, of not engaging with Indigenous peoples, is a dead end. In Canada, we have to get things done right. That's what we've been focused on for the past 3 years. That's what the court said, that we've done better, but we need to do more, and that's
okay. So you can watch the rest of this, but the BS coming out of this guy's mouth, I don't know if he believes it or if he's just so taken in by his hair and his socks that he's, taken in by the snake oil he's trying to sell. Okay, so I found a link to the actual document, the Canada decision document here. It was hard to find. I couldn't find it on Google, and I couldn't find it on most of the news articles that were printed. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. But this is a quick synopsis. If you want to have like the Coles notes of this, have a read. But the short version is the Federal Court of Appeals found that Canada, meaning the NEB, meaning Justin Trudeau's government, failed to engage dialogue meaningfully and grapple with the concerns expressed to it in good faith by the Indigenous applicants. He just said Harper did that. He just said Harper marginalized Indigenous peoples and got pipelines built, and we're not going to do that and still get pipelines built. Well, no, that's not what happened. You marginalized Indigenous people and did not get a pipeline built, and I'll show you how. So this is the document here. So have a look, the Federal Court of Appeal. This is the decision, okay? Page 7 here, we talk about, sorry, just getting there. So 602, Canada's reluctance to depart from the board's findings and recommended conditions in genuinely engaging in the concerns of Indigenous applicants. What? You were just implying, Mr. Trudeau, that you meaningfully engaged with these people and that Harper did not, and that was wrong, and you were right. So what does that look like? So here it is, page 205, 602. Number 3. Canada's reluctance to depart from the board's findings and recommended conditions and genuinely engage in the concerns of the Indigenous applicants. Okay, I'm going to read the top. I'm not going to read you the concerns of the Indigenous people, and then I'm going to read you the bottom because it's really important. So during phase 3, each Indigenous applicant expressed concerns about the suitability of the board's regulatory review and environmental assessment. These concerns were summarized and reported in the appendix to the Crown Consultation Report maintained for each Indigenous applicant. So there's a bunch of different applicants here, and they're listed. These concerns relate to both the board's hearing process and its findings and recommended conditions. The concerns expressed by the Indigenous applicants included, and there's a list, and you can read it if you like. The link is in the description for everything that I talk about. And then after all the list of how they were ignored, it says, 603, however, missing from both the Crown Consultation Report and the individual appendices is any substantive and meaningful response to the concerns. Nor does a review of the correspondence exchanged in Phase 3 disclose sufficient meaningful response to or dialogue about the various concerns raised by the Indigenous applicants. Indeed, a review of the records of the consultation process discloses that Canada displayed a closed-mindedness when concerns were expressed about the board's report and was reluctant to depart from the findings and recommendations of the board. With rare exceptions, Canada did not dialogue meaningfully with Indigenous applicants about their concerns about the board's review. Instead, Canada's representatives were focused on transmitting concerns of the Indigenous applicants to the decision makers and nothing more. Canada was obliged to do more than passively hear and receive the real concerns of the Indigenous applicants. So that's from the actual court decision. It's a big document. Go through it if you're interested. But our news is really, doing us a disservice. Hey, Trudeau's considering appealing the legislation. Shut those Indigenous people up. How dare they question Mr. Trudeau's authenticity when he offered them a pathway to bring their concerns up for him to ignore? How dare they? They must be racist. You don't see sunny side of a pipeline collapse, everyone? You racists? That's the Liberal talking point, isn't it? Way back in May, the Western ministers refused to sign a statement because they were angry with how the pipelines were coming along. This is May. We're in September. And there's more certainty that this pipeline will never get built than there's certainty that they're ever going to start. So there's jobs disappeared and Mr. Trudeau's incompetence on display. He looks like a deer in headlights, and he is.
To get done, but the only way
Don't interrupt me, Mr. Trudeau. I'm sorry, but it's rude. Are you a racist? MaximeBernier.com to save Canada and stop these incompetent morons from governing.